Today is the 1st of February, Imbolc. Imbolc is celebrated at the second new moon after the winter solstice. Today's full moon is called the snow moon or the hunger moon. This new moon rises in Leo, which brings themes of creativity and passion. Behind me is the Celtic Wheel of the Year. These festivals encode timing and meaning. The name Imbolc comes from the Old Irish Imbolc, which is in the belly, full belly. It refers to pregnant ewes as the lambing season approaches. Today we celebrate the beginning of the winter's decline. This was a really important day for ancient people because for the first time in months, fresh food is assured. You can now start to drink the ewe's milk, so you will not die of starvation. You've made it through another winter. This moment has been celebrated for over 5,000 years. It's not the full arrival of spring. That's the spring equinox, but the most risky, dangerous parts of winter have now passed. That's worth celebrating. But the land is still frozen, the cold can still kill you, and planting too early or too late becomes a risk. This is another threshold, a moment of shifting between darkness and light. And in Irish cosmology, thresholds are when the otherworld can break through. For ancient people, today was about optimism. By this point, you're halfway through the winter. It's still cold, people are dying, and supplies are starting to go low. But the light is coming back. The ewes are getting pregnant. We're not yet fully safe, but we're on the home stretch. That's what the crosses mean. Transformation is possible, but only if you survive the threshold. And it's in this threshold where most people fail, because they think they have survived the winter, but you cannot predict the frost. So people gather. They learned. There's a false sense of security in today. And how do you keep yourself safe in ancient Ireland? You come together. You sit and you're bored and you weave these things all day. You light candles, you tell stories, you sit together, you weave, and you hope collectively. Because the ritual is what holds your community together when the outside world is literally trying to kill you. There's a lesson in that. This wheel is called the Celtic Wheel of the Year, but these festivals predate the Celts by like 2,000 years. Archaeological evidence from Neolithic passage tombs shows that humans marked this day over 5,000 years ago. This festival survived the Celts and the Christians and the British. And in 2023, Ireland finally gave St. Bridget her own public holiday. This is a Neolithic passage tomb. These are dotted all over Britain and Ireland, and they correspond with different days on this wheel. They are positioned to allow light through a roof box only on specific solstice days. The most famous of these is Newgrange. It lights up on the winter solstice. But the passage tomb on the Hill of Tara lights up today. There are over 200 of these tombs across Ireland. Do you know what they are for? They're not just burial tombs. Both the function of these roof boxes and the remains of the ancestral deceased inside, yeah, we did have that, indicate a power structure. These are clocks, basically. There is such a high risk of planting seeds at the wrong time, especially when you live so northern as Ireland, that if you are able to tell what time it is, that's real power. So, of course, people start figuring out, how can we predict the light? The goal is removing this huge margin for error which could destroy a Neolithic community. This roof box has no structural purpose. It exists only to allow light in at specific times. The alignment is so precise, builders had to track the sun's position for years and document that to achieve this exact orientation. These tombs are early Irish people trying to cope with the Irish weather. The amount of power you hold if you could be the one to figure out when the bloody sun was coming back. This required the multi-generational observation of celestial cycles. This is specialist astrological knowledge and it existed in Ireland earlier than the pyramids. These are often referred to as burial tombs, but there has never been any complete human skeleton found inside. There's been evidence of cremation, so bodies being burned, disarticulation, so bones, bits of bones been taken in, not the full skeleton. There's evidence of curation, so storing the bones, cleaning the bones, moving the bones, laying them out nicely. And there's evidence of selection, specific bones in specific locations, like skulls. Actually, the mound of hostages at Tara contains remains from between 250 to 500 different individuals. So this was not a single event burial system like the pyramids were. This ritual inherited authority doesn't necessarily mean elite king god at the top of the structure. It's inherited responsibility. This is not to justify class dynamics, but some people learned from their father how to make spears, while others learned from their father how to move cattle from one field to the other, and another is reading the celestial signs. Evidence suggests this is more of a specialist system than consolidated power, but being able to read time and predict weather is power. That's why all our clocks sync to Greenwich. British Empire power clocks. Labour, time, resources, organising. These are collective social structures. If no one knows how to read the sky, then how can anybody know when to put crops in the ground? There's clear evidence of both here. It took collective labour to create these places, and there are mixed remains inside from unrelated individuals. Building these structures is what created social cohesion among these tribes, and having to go back every year for the ritual is what permeates that. It's clear that Neolithic societies were egalitarian, because they had to be. However, not everybody can read the clock, and so the person who can do that is seen as having a divine connection. Because you are the one who's keeping us all alive, and you're passing that knowledge to your children. The sun illuminates the chamber because of an astronomical observation and calculation, but that doesn't make it less of a sacred moment for the people outside. This gave those families ritual authority, but it came with responsibility. They were responsible for Ireland's agricultural timing. That is a huge responsibility. If they get it wrong, we're all dying of famine. What's incredible about ancient Ireland is the level of social coordination. I touched on this in my video about Lunasa. They would close every fire and relight every hearth across the country from one central source at the Hill of Ishnock. That is a level of social coordination that I don't think the Irish state would be able to achieve today, and we have the internet. Imagine you wake up in ancient Ireland, no more internet, no more phone, not even a clock on the wall, that hasn't happened yet. You have no idea what time it is or what time of the year it is, unless you can read the sun. But you need to know what time of the year it is. Your survival depends on getting this right. This cycle of rituals is the structure of your survival. That's why these festivals have over 5,000 years of continuous recognition. Even today, you might feel in your bones that spring has sprung and that this is a good thing. Even though today our survival does not rely on these exact moments, we still know innately how important they are. They're so resilient and important, in fact, that despite waves and waves of colonization and attempts to destroy and dismantle this culture, here I am with my Wheel of the Year 2026. Fuck you, British Empire. The fire still burns in the County Kildare. You will never get rid of Bridgie.